There's something the president said the other day, and which is getting a lot of coverage and a lot of discussions online and offline. In fact, it's a subject of today's editorial by the Standard. Let me look for that page. So that I can... Where is the editorial when you need it? It's usually on page 6. 5, page 5, page 6. It's not on page 6 today. It's not on page 6. Where has it gone? Can you see it?
Wait a minute.
Tell me where it is.
Turn. Start from page 1. Slowly. Very
Go
slowly.
like that. Like it's page 16.
Slowly.
I found
Until
it.
you arrive at page 6.
16.
Yes. Now when you get to page 16,
You'll find the
Find the
editorial.
editorial.
Yes.
have you got it?
Yes, I have it.
Thank you so much.
The headline of this editorial today: University education must be made affordable. President William Ruto has announced plans to abolish the Higher Education Loans Board and its place establish the National Skills and Funding Council that will bring together HELB, TVET, and the University Funding Board. The president says this will double the amount that the loans board is currently getting and remove the interest on HELB loans. While it's true that investment in pursuit of knowledge has no equal, the cost of higher education in Kenya is too high and has turned many parents into paupers and killed many dreams in the process. Many families believe education is the pathway to a better future, and this is why those from economically disadvantaged background will not hesitate to call for fundraising or borrow money from circles and financial institutions to send their children for higher education. Today, the least certificate any student now aims at Kenya is an undergraduate degree, given a country with an educated citizenry secures herself a bright future, but that education has to be within the reach of many. This is why, if President Ruto's proposal will make higher education more affordable, then it is the way to go. In the past, HELB has been a thorn in the flesh of many unemployed Kenyans who feel punished for hailing from poor backgrounds. That's why we want to urge the government to continue pursuing workable models that will make higher education affordable. In its education charter, the Kenya Kwanza Alliance pledged to complete the construction of vocational training centers in each ward, as well as to ensure every constituency has a technical training and vocational education training institution. Even as the government pursues this in the spirit of building a strong, united Kenya, provision of education should not be such a burden to the poor. Okay. They're basically saying, all right, whatever you do, make sure that you're making it easier and more affordable for more Kenyans to attain higher education. Now, juxtapose that with what has been quoted as what the CS for Education, Mr. Machogu, has said with regards to TVET. It was in the papers yesterday. He says, technical vocational education institutions in Kenya should focus more on STEM subjects and less on the arts and business courses. Okay? Now, this was also raising another furore all over yesterday because wondering, what do you mean?
What are you talking about exactly?
What exactly are you saying? So, according to the report that was read yesterday, many of these TVETs have actually now gone into offering those business courses, okay, and have given less and less focus on technical courses. So, today, if you look at the very many people who are graduating from TVETs, they are graduating from those business-related courses, and not a lot of people are graduating from technical courses. That's why we don't have. People talk about a shortage of qualified and certified plumbers, electricians, masons and such, who should be coming out of our TVETs. And we are getting a lot more of people who have certificate in this and the other, in communication, in HR, in business, in entrepreneurship, in this and the other. And you're wondering, is this the focus? Now, did Machogu star
the hornet's
nest by saying this, or is he onto the right path?
The thing about reported speech, sometimes, not all the times, it may capture the spirit of what was said, but it may not give us the full details of the letter, what exactly was said. But more importantly, it never really tells you what was meant. Okay? That institutions that offer TVET-related studies should teach business makes a lot of sense to me.
Business as a course or business as a unit?
Business as a unit.
Okay.
And even as a course, You see, in the absence of understanding, because at the end of the day, whatever technical skills you acquire, you have to go to the marketplace.
Yep.
So, but the alternative, you see, let me perhaps backtrack and explain where I'm coming from.
Okay.
I am looking at the technical schools that we had in the country a long time ago. Okay? They were technical schools, meaning it's a secondary school. You learn English, maths, physics, chemistry, but the focus, where you spend most of your time, are technical subjects.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And very many schools that offered what you may call some of these a theoretical curriculum, English, maths, history, what have you, also had a technical side. Now, it stood to reason that those who went to technical secondary schools would automatically then gravitate towards either the polytechnic
Yep.
or go for technical subjects at the university level, right? But they also studied some of these other subjects, whether it was the science subjects, whether it was the humanities, whether liberal arts, whatever it was. Now, you are talking about institutions of higher learning, and you're asking, what role do these other subjects then play in the training of people who now are taking the course as something that will help them with a career? If you say don't teach it, focus as units, all right?
Okay.
There'll be a problem. If you say don't teach them as subjects or just courses in which you can qualify in, then you will be limiting the capacity of that particular institution. Simply because institutions also have to make money. And somebody may simply want to study commerce. They may not necessarily want to study woodwork.
Sawa. But then, can they go to other colleges that will be able to offer them that?
Yes, they can.
You know?
Yes, they can.
So that the technical college then is able to actually produce technical graduates.
I am in agreement with you. Why I'm in agreement with you, look at the courses that people take. At least, I'm thinking traditionally at the Polytechnic.
Yep.
You study electrical engineering, you came out an electrical engineer.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
That's what they taught. They taught technical subjects.
Yep.
That's what the Polytechnic. Now, there are a few business courses here and there, but you knew this was a technical establishment.
But all of them used to have that unit on entrepreneurship.
They did.
There's actually entrepreneurship which is examinable with
yes.
the other courses.
Yes, but there are also other commercial subjects that were taught.
Yes.
And you could even qualify in those commercial subjects. But the main focus. Now, are we saying that we're going to eliminate these other courses and just focus on the technical subjects?
So, for example, I'm looking at the Eldoret National Polytechnic.
Yes.
Okay. The kind of programs that they have, list of courses offered at the Eldoret National Polytechnic. If we start from, there is mechanical engineering, plant production, higher diploma. So these are, let's start with certificate courses. Let me go down to certificate. Okay. Certificate courses. They have a certificate technician in electrical and electronics engineering, a certificate course, engineering skills certificate, technician in motor vehicle systems, technician in mechanical engineering, technician in motor vehicle systems, diploma, technician in applied mechanical engineering, that's a diploma course, bridging in math, that's a certificate course, diploma in information communication technology, diploma in credit management, diploma in certified credit professional. Then we now come into certified investment and financial analysis, certified public secretary, certified public accountant, health records information technology, petroleum geoscience, then social work certificate, sales and marketing certificate, catering and accommodation certificate, food and beverages certificate, tour guiding and operation certificate, human resource management certificate, business management certificates. In diploma courses, you'll have the same sales and marketing diploma, entrepreneurship development diploma, information studies diploma. I'm looking at the non-technical, non-STEM ones. So, should Eldoret Polytechnic focus on STEM, and stop doing tour guides courses? Certificate and diploma in tour guide operations.
Yeah, because I don't think there's actually anything wrong. I think there's benefit in then being able to specialize in a particular area. And if you found that it's working, go with it. And that's why we have specialized institutions today. We don't, not necessarily because they decided from the very beginning that this is what we're going to specialize in, but it's something that was serendipitous in nature. You find that you have something that works, and then you just continue going with it. Why offer all of this and you're not able to get people who are coming in? And you have 8, 9, 10 that you can offer and offer well. People come, they learn, you pass them off, they go. Perhaps that's one of the problems that we suffer from, that we want to do everything at the same time, whereby you can have some here that people can excel in and do well. Why do tours when you can do the STEM? Stick to the STEM. Everybody wants to offer everything at the same time so that you can bring about that competitive nature. Who knows?
It's money.
Of course it's money. It's commercial as well. But the competitive could be that you just happen to be the ones who offer these ones and people can come to you for that. And I think we need to change our thoughts in that sense that, yes, you want the money, but at the same time, look at the outset that we're complaining about today. When we say that we are not churning out skilled individuals in these areas that you've talked about, to whom does the blame often turn back to? It's the institutions.
Look at the model that, say, medical schools use. A medical school can't function without a hospital.
Yep.
But even as they train doctors, they also train other professionals. They train nurses, they train clinical officers, they train lab technicians.
But all related to?
Yes.
Human science.
Precisely. That's what happens. Now, I was looking at, say, the courses offered by Kisumu National Polytechnic. There are 11 programs they have. Okay. Now, the first 5 are all technical. Electrical, mechanical, automotive, applied sciences, building and civil engineering courses. Okay. Then 6, they have institutional courses, whatever that is. Computer studies and mathematics courses, liberal studies courses, business studies courses, entrepreneurship, education courses, clothing and textile. Now, if we look at the model that I gave earlier on for the health sciences, you'll find that there's a difference. And you could ask, how do the other courses relate to these other technical subjects?
Yeah.
If you want to find a relation, you can find it. But the point you're making makes perfect sense. However, why do you think that the evolution of these institutions turned out the way they did? We had technical schools. Technical subjects were taught in very many secondary schools in this country.
Yes.
We moved away from it, focused more on the academic courses and less on the technical. Our focus on technical subjects reduced over time. We are now trying to rejig it again. But how do you wean people out of this thirst that they have for the other courses?
Establish schools for such. Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology has the following academic programs: Applied Sciences Department, which has applied biology, analytical chemistry, environmental science, diploma in applied statistics, blah, blah, blah. They have another one, Building and Civil Engineering Department. You can guess what is being offered there. They have another school of Business, Entrepreneurship and Social Studies Department. Now, this is where they give diploma in banking and finance, diploma in supply chain management, diploma in human resource management, diploma in sales and marketing, diploma in guidance and counseling, diploma in social work, diploma in computerized secretarial, diploma in business management, modular, certificate in human resource management. This is the Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology. It's offering also electrical and electronics engineering department. So they have electrical and electronics engineering, they have building and civil engineering, they have applied sciences department, they have ICT and computer studies department. Those ones make sense for Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology. Then they have baking technology department. All right. They have hospitality department, certificate in food and beverage, diploma in food and beverage. How does it come in Institute of Science and Technology?
Yeah, well,
Technology.
many will tell you that cooking is a science.
Hospitality department, diploma in food and beverage. certificate in food and beverage, clothing technology.
I think to make your point, I would now need to go to Utalii College. Yes, it would make the point you're making far better.
Exactly.
Because
you have Utalii College, you have the new one that's been started on Ongala in Kilifi.
Yeah, exactly. Do you see them offering civil engineering?
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't. And this is my thing.
Do you see them offering automotive engineering? They do not.
What's it called? The medical one, Kenya.
KMTC.
KMTC.
College,
Yes.
yeah.
KMTC. If you went to KMTC and you found
And
that
you
they're
want to
offering
start
tour guide,
Or baking.
surely.
There was a question that you asked, and I think is important. Right. This question that you asked, I think is
KMTC.
really
You go KMTC, you don't find any baking.
So, look,
That. I think.
You get the point.
Yes.
Bas.
The point is
Question.
made.
the specialized institutions are very important. But we talked about, and I think that's. So, I mean, the question you asked, should then Eldoret, for example, focus on STEM? Absolutely. And let it be known for an institution that focuses on STEM instead of mixing all these things together. But then another thing that you said is that why do people keep going for those particular courses? And that's a question that we must ask. And this is not just an institutional thing, it is a societal thing. That for the longest time, there are certain things that we have shunned as then an acceptable career that you can then go into.
Yep.
If you go into some other into some other countries, somebody who holds a position as a mason, for example, is held up really, really high in society because one, the technical expertise is up to scratch. This is not a guy that you want to give the building of the construction of a company to somebody who's not been through the proper training and the proper certification. Because guess what? The thing falls down, the thing burns down, somebody's going to pay with their life. But we have not given these careers the due place that they ought to have in society. Because think about it, when you want to fix something in your house, in your country house or whatever, you just call the guy who sits by the side of the road who says, yeah, I can do plumbing.
They've put some sign there.
Plumber, Nigeria, everywhere.
Plumber
Everybody's a
available.
vulcanizer.
Electrician.
Electrician. Meanwhile, the guy doesn't know how to put red and blue together. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a societal issue beyond an institutional educational issue. It's a societal issue that what have we glorified? We've glorified the lawyers. We've glorified the doctors. We've glorified the bankers. But what about all of these that is important? Look at what we talk about when buildings come collapsing. People have gone to school, have they not?
Yep.
You have masons, you have electricians, you have plumbers. You
The
have
people
all
who
of those
actually
people.
put up the building now, those fundis.
Thank you very much. The fundis. Now, what certification do they have? Somebody who comes and spends 3 months in Malindi on holiday, had a conversation with him. You know what he does for a living? He's a painter. You say it's a guy with a brush. He just goes to buy 2x2 here and paints for you. And then after 3 months, the thing is peeling, doesn't use the correct paint. For these guys, it's a science. The guy is telling you this is and this. He's gone through the certification and he gets it.
Yep.
What have we glorified as careers in the country? It feeds back and forth because what we've glorified is now what you're going to put your attention into. So why then we're talking about the TVETs, we're talking about the technical courses? It's because society has told you that the person who works in a bank and counts the notes is more accepted in society than somebody who will paint a building, for example, or for somebody who will fix the plumbing in a building, or for somebody who's your draftsman, or somebody who's your mason. It's a societal issue beyond an educational issue that we need to fix.
You are so right, because I think it's something we've discussed or talked about in passing in the show before. But you can tell the importance we place on things simply by the minimum requirements that one needs to have in order to qualify to train for these things.
Yep.
That's where we tell the story.
Yep.
See, for the longest time, the profession that I first trained in, called teaching, it was what you were given if you want to go to university when you couldn't get anything else that you wanted. Now you tell me, if something, a course, a discipline that is so fundamental to every country is treated in that manner, so a very large number of people who end up teaching are people who didn't want to teach.
Yep.
So how do you think they're going to do that job? Yet,
It's a placeholder.
Precisely.
They're looking for something else.
Always. I mean, it's like you're there, but your mind is elsewhere.
Yeah.
Now, the discussion around TVETs is worse. We disregarded it completely.
Totally.
I remember school I was a headmaster of. They had a very serious technical department. That thing had been shut down. They had it. They had tools. It was shut down.
Yeah, because you again.
Then nobody wants to bother. Now, if you want to understand, and then you bring in politics into it. Remember the Germans wanted to actually build as a technical university.
Yeah.
How did that one go?
They moved into this one, Kiambu Institute, KIST, where they're still constructing. I think we had the German ambassador here sometime, and they told us that it's the EU, no, the German minister. Remember the German minister when she visited?
Yes.
And she told us that it's still ongoing, the expansion of KIST with German support. But if they're offering baking.
You know the discussion around there, Eric? It wasn't supporting Kiambu Institute.
The initial one I know was a big one.
A swanking brand new. Yani, a complete.
Like
everything.
Jequat with the Japanese.
Precisely. Complete. Now, I am saying that the evolving manner in which we treat the disciplines that are offered tells us a lot about the direction that we are going to take even as a nation. Yes. We have a country called Switzerland. My friend, it's run by TVETs.
It is.
Yep.
TVETs.
It is.
Yep.
That is the one country that having a degree is not really a big thing.
It's not the issue that you go for.
No.
But then you have specialized TVET. So it's not one TVET offering all.
No. You see, when we say TVET, you're talking about an institution that offers you a specialized skill.
Yep.
Yeah, I was looking for that word.
Yep.
It's specialized. So you're really very good at what you do.
Yep.
Not what you've read, what you do.
Where you're producing things. There is one called Kenyanjui Technical, I think somewhere in Dagoretti, right? The students there are actually doing solar panels. They're fabricating solar panels and selling.
They are doing something.
They're doing something. That's what they're training on, in electrical and electronics engineering, and they're going ahead and actually doing solar panels. See? Now, it's because this Kenyanjui Institute Technical have decided, let's focus. Let's give ourselves this focus on renewable energy, renewable electrical electronics. They're going that route. Now, if you're going and offering sweet tailoring and dressmaking, and you're a TVET, that should be in a separate school where there are actually schools for vocational training for tailoring and dressmaking. You know clearly, if I go here, I'll get into these kind of courses. If I go into this one, I'll focus on these kind of courses. It also allows the institution to get the proper facilities to offer the courses that you're offering. Not that you have a workshop that can now become a tailoring workshop in the morning and in the afternoon.
It's a cafe.
It's a cafe. You're baking.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
We are talking about this directive by the Education CS Ezekiel Machogu on the demolition of business courses in TVET institutions. He says, listen, TVET institutions focus on STEM. Reduce your attention on business courses. Ronnie Obuluo says these business courses provide adequate knowledge to trainees, enabling them to start their own business and manage them well. The best thing to do is to improve these short courses. They aid in reducing unemployment. Apart from agriculture, business is also a core course and a solution to youth who are interested in business but are less fortunate to study the courses in the university. See, you know, he's telling you something.
He says, yes, it's an image that if you don't hold a degree, you are a failure. I'm now a plasterer for 6 years and I have a job and a roof over my head, literally. Look, I think that it's what you make it. There are certain molds that you're just going to have to create depending on what you want for society to be able to fit into. It shouldn't be that because I cannot afford a business course at the university, then I'm going to come to a TVET so that I can get, some courses that will be able to fill up to something. And I'm saying that these specialized courses need to be that. that they need to be specialized. That if you're going to have skill set courses, let them be that. Let it not be that somebody's going to use it as an opportunity to then be able to fill in. It tells a bigger story about the failure of a system that's then not able to educate people at a tertiary level. Let's look at the systemic issues and then deal with those. But if you have specialized TVETs, specialized courses, leave them as just so. Don't say that now because we're going to be offering these vocational courses or we're going to be offering these skill courses, then all right, we might as well throw in something else there. Let's just throw in a certificate or diploma in human resource, or let's throw in something in business administration and management just because we can. No, I think we're mixing the pot and we're diluting the stew. Because of the fact that you need these specialized people, you need them later. They're essentially the bedrock of what you're going to be holding up as an economy. I'll give you an example. In the UK or some of these other countries where education, for example, or teachers are held with such high esteem in society, just giving up the example of what you said, the exam that you need to take to become a qualified teacher is no mean feat, my friend. Because why is that? Because already the end result has already been prescribed. So you're moving backwards. And we're saying that the people that we want to be able to educate these children, we cannot just give it to anybody. It's got to be people who are worth their salt. They've been through the fire and they've come out as gold. So what are we going to do? Make sure that they can pass through that properly before we then allow them to teach our children. But what did you say? Teachers are then given the opportunity to teach because they couldn't get something else.
It's because you did not score the C+, C- and above to go into university. One of the things that you did then was you applied to a teacher training college.
And then the adage came, those who cannot do, teach.
And if you didn't qualify for that one, you applied to become a policeman or join the army.
Exactly.
If you did,
or then you go into vocational training where you learn now tailoring and dressmaking.
And carpentry. And if you didn't qualify for that one, you become a priest.
So to an extent, I agree with Machogu. And to an extent, what I'm saying, allow these specialized institutions, allow these TVETs to be specialized institutions. Don't just throw in everything in there just because you can.
But then that's not what he's saying.
What is he saying?
He's saying focus on STEM.
I don't think you should just focus
because
on
that's the thing. In technical and vocational training, we are talking about all those things. You're talking about, so there's STEM, and then there'll be things like where we are saying dressmaking. We're talking about what you're talking about, baking and culinary arts. All those things are part of technical and vocational training.
I think
so. Maybe what you should say is, if subdivide them and say this one focuses on STEM, then this one, just like we're going to have in it's called what, senior secondary. What's it called? This is junior secondary.
And there's higher secondary, senior secondary.
Senior secondary. Yeah. So in senior secondary, we're going to have schools that are focusing on the arts and others that are focusing on the STEM subjects.
Yes.
Have the same now for TVETs. So TVET that if I am applying to X technical institute, it focuses on STEM. If I'm applying on X institute, it focuses on culinary arts. If I'm applying for X, it focuses on fashion, design, dressmaking, everything.
I agree. Now, that I agree with 100%. I do not think that every institution should offer any course just because they can. I think you need to have specialized institutions whereby yes, you're going here. And I really think we need to start to move away from this thing that, again, one is glorified, the other is not. Because this whole thing comes full circle. Give you an example. We talk about dressmaking and we say, okay, it's for the chick who, couldn't make it out of the village school and so somebody's going to buy her a sewing machine.
No.
But look at a national conversation that is being had when we are talking about the production of textiles, for example. Yep. So you can imagine if you had a population of people, men and women, who are specialized in material making. And then here you're saying that you want to be able to have an economy that's in textiles, that's exporting quality clothing. Why would you not want to educate your people about the right way to do this, even for export? We talk about baking, right? And we say, she'll just make some things there and it's done. No, we're talking about value-added services for your tea. You're talking about value-added services for things that happen here like avocado and honey and things like that. Why not have people who are educated, who are able to put these things together for local consumption and also for export? That's the kind of conversation we need to be having. Not your run-of-the-mill village person who is just, no. Who says you cannot bring somebody from the village level and have them educated for a global certification?
Yeah.
Why not? That's where our thinking ought to be.
Can I have Omar on the line?
Omar, let's listen to what Omar has to say.
Mwalimu, good morning.
Good morning, team.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Right.
I think Hail Kibaki is the one who revived this thing. We had totally thrashed this thing down the carpet. Uko. Now comes Kibaki and sees we have a gap that we don't have technical staff in Kenya and the economy can't be revived. So he brings this noble idea, although some people tout him for, think he is wrong because he made those institutions into universities. Then, if somebody gives you an idea and it works, somebody had to do the hard stuff. What Machogu is saying is a very good thing. I think we need to have zoning. For heaven's sake, an institution specializing in blue economy.
Yep.
Alafu nasikia wanafanya baking, surely. Blue, of course, those people in the sea will eat, but you don't have to do it. Let Utalii College do that. Because some institutions thrived in the 90s. I was very young, but I remember we even had a football team, Utalii, and it was the only college specializing in hospitality, then the likes of Amboseli came.
Yep.
So we zoned them. Those people in Kitui, kwa sababu kuna Kikomi, they do material. Then even right now, even if you go to village polytechnics, these ones that take class 8 graduates, very few of them do plumbing. Sure, I've interacted with quite a number of tutors in those institutions. They just
what are
do
they
motor
teaching?
vehicle. They do motor vehicle MVM, that is motor vehicle mechanics. Then they do tailoring and dressmaking. Dressmaking is for the lower cadre. Tailoring is kind of specialized. Then they also do carpentry and joinery, building and masonry. But I have really looked for an institution in Kwale County that does plumbing. And this part of technical is devolved, especially in the village polytechnics and these TVETs.
Yeah.
There is a stake that county government has. So some CECs in education in these counties, they need to sit and look at what their counties need most.
Yeah.
No, we need social workers, fine, but not every TVET should offer social work. Of course, entrepreneurship must be taught as a unit in every. Just like guidance and counseling, to deal with mental health issues and all that, so that we are adjusted. But zoning is the key.
So that's where the issue is.
The tigers, those tigers, the Asian tigers, have majored in TVET. China majors in TVET. For us to succeed, Machogu is actually right on this.
All right.
Very right.
Thank you, Omar.
Yeah.
Thank you, Omar. Let's hear from you. 0719-012-600. Before we come to you, City, on what you're saying, Peter says, I support CS Machogu. Some of those TVETs do called courses. Some of those so-called courses can be done as units in STEM courses. It won't hurt for a plumber to learn sales and marketing skills. But the main thing that they're graduating with is plumbing.
There's a larger conversation here. And it has to do with the human resource that this country requires. It also has to do with what it is that we see and we want ourselves to be. Because all these courses, as I said, they will end up being practiced in the marketplace. So even as we talk about this in the TVET sector, this in the education, whatever it is, what should our focus be? Remember, part of the problem that led to what we currently have was that before independence, what we now refer to as TVETs, plumbing, masonry, those were subjects that Africans were the ones who were supposed to study. Okay? Yes. They were intended. The sort of things that the colonialists believe the African mind can only accommodate some of these simple things that an African mind can. Now, so with independence, the leaders felt, no, this is nonsense. Let's do what these fellows are doing so that we can. The manpower requirement was, how do we take over from what it is that these people did?
Yes.
And we started neglecting the other aspects of what the education system that was also useful in building up what we have. But right now, we cannot have this conversation that the Minister of Education has started without having the larger conversation of, okay, folks, you as the Minister of Education, what is it that you feel is the manpower requirement of this country? So what should the focus be in terms of the institutions we want to build, in terms of the training that we want to focus on, the emphasis we want to give on these things? What is it? Because it doesn't help us to produce God knows how many number of teachers and then you can't employ them.
Yeah.
X number of doctors and then you're saying you can't absorb them, and yet we need the
them.
teachers and the doctors. So how do you bridge this gap? If we get caught up in just discussing STEM, not STEM, STEM and perhaps more STEM, the larger conversation, which, as I said, in my mind ought to be the focus, will be lost.
Those who plan their nations, oftentimes when we think about a national plan, because then you have a ministry and departments who then hopefully will implement this plan. Sometimes we just think that the plan is about infrastructure and it's about roads and it's about buildings and it's about foreign policy and international organizations and all of this. But it's not that just. It goes down to this very level that we're talking about today. That you want to say, all right, what's our export mechanism going to be? What do we need? Does it need to be homegrown solutions? And that's where they go down to the very nitty-gritty of the things that we're talking about today. That the plan includes all of this, that who are we and what are we going to educate, and then what are we going to use them for later. We need to build our own cottage industries, whether it's in textiles, whether it is manufacturing of parts to send outside or to use within the country. It included this that we're talking about. It included what your educational institutions are going to offer. The national plan included all of that. So, and I agree. You have to ask the question, what's our output? What's our goal? What do you want to do later? But we often see it like, well, okay, that really doesn't matter in the national plan. Absolutely, it does. It does.
You'll find it's actually factored in. You'll find that a lot of what we're talking about has been factored in, even in the development of CBC, for instance. You'll find there's a lot of inputs and conversations with industry. What is it that industry requires? In this working task force team party group for education, that thing, the private sector is involved in it. They're sitting in that working party. The employers are sitting in that working party. So there's a thing about industry saying this is where our needs are and what the education should be filling as a gap, and where we are heading forward, and what education should be filling as a gap heading forward. So that all is factored in into what are we training, what are we teaching, are we getting that into the market?
You know how I would see that play out in practicality? That, for example, when you want to then construct a road, a major road like we've seen, and that you bring your China Rail, that long company,
China Road and Bridge and airports and
airports.
Ports.
Then you bring them and they say we'll use our expertise. So at the point of negotiation, at that contract, you say, well, thank you very much. You could be the person who's doing this, but you know what? The contract is insisting that we will use Kenyan expertise. Why? Because you know without a doubt that your people are up to scratch. And that's what I'm talking about in seeing the living out of this plan that we are speaking of today. And that's how far you see when you're sitting here, working party, when you're sitting here, development of curriculum, when you're sitting here and you're saying education is holed up in Machogu County, sitting and talking here for weeks.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
That when you're developing those contracts and China comes and says, no, you give us the money, we'll bring our own people. You say, absolutely not.
Yep.
We use our own people because we worth our salt and we know that we can do it.
There's a highway
That's what I'm
training
saying.
institute. You know, there's that, huh? Kenya has a National Highways
Yes, it
Training
does.
Institute.
It does.
All right. As we were doing the SGR, the Railway Training Institute was instrumental in that, in getting very, very many Kenyans who went to study in China and they came back and they've got the expertise and going forward. Now, the thing would be, how is RTI actually looking into the future
Absolutely.
of training for the future of railway? James is on the line in Nairobi. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Tim. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. How are you doing?
I'm very well.
Karibu.
Now, Bona Machogu is very right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, specialization is the only way to do things. Let us look at this. Kenyatta University was the best place to train teachers, B.Ed education. What did they go and do? They went and started a medical course. JKU Watt was excellent in agricultural engineering. What do they go do? They start a law school. And it is replicated. So the universities.
Egerton University has tailoring.
Yes, you know, instead of dealing with food production, some of the best yogurt was produced by Egerton. Instead of looking for what is your best scenario based on your environment and your resources around you, everyone started looking for what are the fashionable causes that will bring students to increase the bottom line. And we lost the plot over there. That's why these days, when you're looking for a tailor or a plumber or a mason, you have got no place to get expertise except your local WhatsApp group in the estate where everyone is asking Nani anajua a good plumber and all those other things.
True.
Because we also went and made test technical courses as the bottom line. Because everyone wanted to have a degree, everyone wanted to be called an engineer, everyone wants to be called a graduate. Not forgetting that at the end of the day, all these graduates need technicians.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem we have is lack of technicians.
And the reality as well, James, is that over 80% of Kenyans do not have degrees.
But who said we all need to have degrees?
That's exactly
We
it.
need to get out of this thing.
A majority is not
If you
focusing on
look
what they have. They're focusing on what they don't have.
Yes, look at the most successful people. No, half of them don't have degrees, and those who have degrees don't do anything to do with their degree. It is looking for their purpose, looking for their passion, and monetizing it. So we need to really rethink and okay, we've lost one or two generations. I can say that. Some of us are long gone, but let us look at the future and we start saying, okay, this experiment of everyone being a graduate with a university degree, is it working? No. Can we go back to the old time of Zemuga there, where technical work was revered?
Yep.
The people who make the most money in the world in the West are not engineers and graduates, are technicians, window washers, plumbers. You know how much money a plumber makes in the UK? He'll be nowhere. If I was given a chance to live this life again, I would do plumbing and go and work and fix pipes. So we need to specialize our institutions. We need to specialize our populace. Not all of us can be doctors. Not all of us can be lawyers. You don't need to be a lawyer to know how to talk or how to read. And just get people in the right place and not stop putting square pegs in round holes. It
Well
simply
said.
doesn't work.
Well said.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, James. Thank you. Well, this conversation will obviously and definitely continue happening everywhere, even in our social media handles. We'll continue seeing what your comments are on SpiceFM KE on Facebook and on Twitter and on YouTube as well.